may be reached. At such time, all interested parties will be given an opportunity to be heard. Application number 609-24, Kristen and Charles Korn. Permission to leave shed having side yard of 0.3 feet instead of required 2 feet, and driveway having side yard of 2.9 feet instead of required 4 feet. Residence B District, west side of North Chicot Avenue, 400 feet north of Burling Lane North, West Islip. Anybody here on the application of Korn?
Please come up and give us your name and address, please, for the record.
Sure. Charles Korn II, 638 North Chicot Avenue, West Islip, New York, 11795.
Mr. Korn, you're here for the shed and then the driveway?
Yes.
Any questions from the board on this matter?
No questions.
Planning, do you have any comments on this?
No comment.
Is there anyone else that would like to be heard in this application? Okay, I'll take a motion, please.
Thank you, Chairman. I'll make a motion. Yeah.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Application is granted. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Application number 610-24, William and Lori Holland. Permission to leave patio having side yard of 0.6 feet instead of required 4 feet. Residence A District, west side of Peter Paul Drive, 150 feet south of Ryan Street, West Islip. Anybody here on the application of Holland?
My name is William Holland, 578 Peter Paul Drive, West Islip.
And Mr. Holland, you're here on the patio?
Yes.
Any questions from the board?
No questions.
Planning, any comments on this?
No comment.
Is there anyone else that would like to be heard in this application? Okay, I'll take a motion, please.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Application is granted.
Thank you.
Application number 611-24, John Lamaga and Carrie Nadler. Permission to use dwelling for two-family, family use only pursuant to Islip Town Code Section 68-419.1. Residence AA District, south side of Alyssa Court, 990.59 feet west of Broadway Avenue, Holbrook.
Good evening. Len Crick, Island-wide Permit Services, office at 86 Center Street in Ronkonkoma. And I'm here representing John Lamaga and Carrie Nadler in their request for a two-family family use option for their dwelling at 16 Alyssa Court in Holbrook. And Carrie Nadler's mother does qualify for the age option.
All the paperwork is here. Right. Any questions from the board on this? Planning, any comments?
No comment.
Is there anyone else that would like to be heard in this application? Okay, I'll take a motion, please.
Make a motion that we approve the application for a period of 3 years.
All in favor?
Aye.
Application is
Thank you. Have a good evening.
granted.
Application number 612-24, Joshua Carcione. Permission to leave in-ground pool having side yard of 15.2 feet instead of required 18 feet. Residence AA District, north side of Grady Street, 387.34 feet west of Snedeker Avenue, Bayport.
Good evening, members of the board. Anthony Powell, 9 Humphrey Lane, Blue Point, New York, 11715, on behalf of the applicant.
We're just here on the ground pool having side yard. The side yard on the pool then, right?
Yes.
Okay, planning, any comments on this?
No comment.
Any questions from the board on this? No. Is there anyone else that would like to be heard in this application? Okay, I'll take a motion, please.
I'll make a motion to grant the application.
All in favor?
Aye.
Application is granted.
Thank you very much. Have a good night.
Application number 613-24, Richard and Elizabeth Padone. Permission to leave one-story addition, 11 by 18, having side yard of 9.1 feet instead of required 14 feet. Residence B District, northwest corner of Bainbridge Street and Grimsley Road, Islip.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Roxanne Trella, Dynamic Expediting Services, with offices at 231 Islip Avenue, Islip, New York. We are here today requesting permission to leave a one-story addition, having a side yard of 9.1 instead of the required 14 feet. This one-story addition is actually the carport that appears on the certificate of occupancy. It was converted to a attached garage back in the 80s. It still remains as an attached garage today. And back at that time, Residence B was a 10-foot side yard setback. So it is well within the character and nature of the neighborhood.
Do we know what the nature and character, I mean, are there other 9.1s? The area whole.
There's a lot around that, and she's right to say it. Time and what was required there, so there's like 5 or 6 grants that are there.
Anything else, planning?
Nothing.
Any other questions from the board? No. Is there anyone else that would like to be heard in this application? No? Okay, then I'll take a motion, please.
I'll make a motion.
All in favor? Aye. Application is granted.
Thank you. If I may, I have one other application. It is one of the 6 o'clocks. It's a little bit out of order. We happened to be retained this morning for this application. It was filed under the previous owner. They have already held the closing, so we do have a new owner. We have to submit to the Zoning Board of Appeals office a new application and disclosures and a copy of the unrecorded deed in order for us to be able to move forward. So we are requesting an adjournment.
Yes. Which one is that?
Which number?
That's,
It is 621-24.
Barnoza Corp. on
We'll
the
just make
second
sure
page.
nobody was here to be heard on
Is
it.
there anyone else here on that application?
Six.
Barnoza Corp.
Good.
No, okay. So I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
All in favor? Aye. Get adjournment. Open.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Application number 614-24. Ralph Clement. Permission to leave driveway having front yard occupancy of 42% instead of permitted 40%, and walkways having front yard of 12.9% instead of 12%. 6-foot fence having front yard of 0.1 feet instead of required 10 feet. Pool patio having rear yard of 5.1 feet instead of required 6 feet, and rear yard landscaping of 30% instead of required 40%. Residence B District, southwest corner of Jefferson Avenue and Gunther Avenue, Bay Shore.
Good evening.
Give us your name and address, please.
Mitch Brendel, 2100 Middle Country Road, Center Reach, New York, 11720, agent on behalf of the applicant. So the applicant is seeking permission to maintain some improvements, but I'll let you go ahead if you. Sorry, say that again? No, okay. I would like to address, there was one matter of clarification that was requested from us earlier today, which I didn't have a chance to submit prior to 5 p.m. It was regarding where is this 6-foot fence? It is at the end of the driveway. So there's a small area to the northern side of the dwelling. There is a fence there. It's not labeled on the survey. There's some columns, and I do have some photos here if I could submit those for the board to take a peek at.
Submit the photos, that would help.
Sure.
See the slate driveway?
Does anybody, could you do me a favor, sir?
Yes.
Have a magic marker or whatever. Could you mark where it is?
Where the fence is?
Yeah.
Sure, absolutely. There's a lot going on this property. I know there is. I got a pen. So let's see. Here we are. I'm going to circle it. Right here. And that's the setback for it.
That doesn't look 6 feet.
It's kind of complicated. He's going to be ready. Oh, is it from the top? I think it's at the, or is it this far? I think it's at the northeast corner.
And the reason this lands in the front yard is because the house is slightly angled on the property. So it would be, second front yard,
A lot of doubles in there.
but because of the angle of the house, it's expanding into the front yard. There's clearly, on the area, you can see there's a lot of asphalt on this property, which is going to be removed. We have consulted with the planning department as far as what may be permissible, the amount of driveway coverage. Oh, there we go. So that's the 4-foot fence running along the side. And I don't know if you could see the front of the house. If there's a street view from the front, you'll see the iron or metal fence that's at the end of the driveway. There it is.
The 6-foot fence is the iron fence?
The 6-foot fence is
You see it
coming from the
circled?
house perpendicular to the street.
Correct.
Most of it's a 4-foot fence. There's kind of an unusual section here.
Yeah, I see it.
The rest of it's. All that.
I mean, with all the work they've done, why wouldn't they want to replace this anyway?
I mean, the 4-foot fence is allowed to be there.
Right.
but
Well, I'm going to rely on Dave, he's our expert, front yard and rear yard.
Occupancy. Well, I think we decided the limit on occupancy. I said, I think we discussed the limit on occupancy.
You asked for a limit. What is the limit?
It was 32? 32 and a half, I thought.
For rear yard?
Yeah. What is the
You're
precedent?
asking about the rear yard landscape. That's why that number is designed.
Okay.
Currently, they're at close to 0.
Yeah, well, okay.
All right.
We've been holding people to 30.
To 30.
Yes.
On the
Okay.
rear yard.
So let's make that the standard. We have 30 now, okay?
30 is rear yard.
In the interest of fairness.
Always be fair.
Appreciate that.
And the overall
De
front
minimis.
yard occupancy of
I
42.
think we call that de minimis.
De minimis.
First item.
Oh, 42 instead of 40. That's
De minimis.
So the only issue then is the 12-foot, 6-foot fence.
yes, which really I would just note that most of the length of it is. I don't know what you can see here. So this right here is 4 feet. This is right.
Can we distinguish
I
your
think the 6
decision?
foot is, I think, Mitch, what you were starting to tell us is the 6 foot is where the perpendicular hits Gunther, right? It's the wrought iron in the front that has the
Correct.
columns
Yeah,
interspaced?
I would imagine that if there's one section of wood fence on the side, that can be lowered. But yeah, that front picture, the concern is those masonry columns and the wrought iron fence was a more significant financial investment for the improvement that they made on the home. So they would like to keep that. That's the area. And any other columns and things that are, not permitted, that are on town property, there's a lot of things here that are going to be removed from this property that just were done.
That's the
They
one.
shouldn't have been.
That's-
That's the fence we're talking about with those columns.
It's the one being called out.
Yeah.
Those columns are a tenth of a foot instead of required 10 feet. Right?
A setback, yeah.
Front yard setback.
It could be that the person who wrote the denial intended it to be like the column as part of the fence, because that column is obviously over 4 feet, and it's at the
Correct.
property line, and it's,
I believe the issue is because of the property line is slanted as well. So it does seem to run parallel with the front property line and the front of the dwelling. We are on a
Columns are over,
corner lot,
That's what I'm questioning.
but our property is under,
it doesn't look 4 feet to me. Look at the car.
Are the front columns over 4 feet?
no.
All right, so then
We're
the
talking
one
about
in
the
the
rear.
back is.
We're talking about that fence.
And that's it, that's on the property line?
10 feet back.
only where it hits at the perpendicular.
It's being called out because they're
stop.
a corner lot. The other
Ridiculous.
street, Gunther.
The
is the one
side
being
street.
called out. Yes.
But the property
I
is
think we
less
can
than
distinguish.
11,000 square feet, so it,
All right, so I think.
say again?
Distinguish
It's a
it.
little
Now we know
over.
what we're talking about.
It is over. Oh, because
12,400, something like that. So it's a little over 11,250.
that's where the issue lies then, so it's slightly over that for the secondary lot line.
Should we make it for the life of that fence? Because that one type fence is.
Oh, you mean the wooden fence?
Yeah.
I don't
It's not-
typically have an issue with particular sections having
Yeah, 125.
full concern is whether or not it's a continuous fence. That's too
Right.
close to the setback. Currently, the continuous lane part is 4 feet. So what was that?
Okay. Are there any
We'll
other questions
qualify
from the
that.
board at this time?
I don't, but
Is there anyone else who would like to be heard in this application? If we're okay, then I'll take a motion. Who's in
I will make a motion to approve the application.
Get a second, please? All in favor? Application is granted.
Thank you.
Hang on a
Oh,
second.
hold on.
Wasn't there something that, like, right
front yard, well, that's what we were talking about, this 1/10 of a foot.
But that's, what we're talking about, it's actually the back fence.
It's a side yard.
Good.
Thank you. Good evening. 65 is getting older, I think. Come on.
Application number 615-24, Joseph and Kelly Longo. Permission to leave pool deck having side yard of 9 feet instead of required 10 feet, and roofed over deck having side yard of 13.9 feet instead of required 18 feet, and total side yards of 30.1 feet instead of required 36 feet. Residence AA District, 278 Cluster, east side of Blue Point Road West, 628.26 feet north of Spiral Road, Holtzville.
Hi, Joseph Longo, 227 Blue Point Road West, Holtsville.
So you, what's your first name?
First name, Joseph.
Oh, okay, Joe, I'm sorry. So you're here on the pool deck, roofed over deck, and then side yards on the deck, okay.
Correct.
Planning, any comments on this?
Just a quick note, the property size, let's say, as are all the properties in here, it's a cluster subdivision, probably designed to have setback or those things, so it's very much with regards to the size.
And the height of the deck?
It's 4.7 feet.
Within the code.
All right, is there anyone else that would like to be heard in this application? Any other questions from the board?
Nope.
Take a motion then.
Make a motion to approve the application.
Dan
Take it
just
a
lose the
second.
territory.
All in favor? Aye.
I-
Application's granted.
I annexed it.
Calling you Napoleon.
Have a good evening.
Thank you. Application number 616-24, Fidel and Irma Moran. Permission to establish accessory apartment pursuant to Islip Town Code Section 68-602. Residence A District, south side of Sperry Court, 121.52 feet east of Yankee Street, Brentwood.
They're my mom and dad. It's Irma Moran and Fidel Moran.
Your name is, sir?
Christopher Moran.
Hey, Christopher, you want to present on their behalf?
Yes.
Okay. So we're just here on the accessory apartment?
Yep.
Yes.
All right. Do you have any questions from the board on this? Planning, any comments on this?
No comment.
Is there anyone else that would like to be heard in this application? No? Okay, then I'll take a motion, please. All in favor?
Aye.
Application's granted for 3 years.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're up next, too.
Yep. Application number 617-24, Christopher Moran and Fidel and Irma Moran.
Yes.
Permission to establish accessory apartment pursuant to Islip Town Code Section 68-602. Residence A District, north side of Sperry Court, 116.69 feet east of Yankee Street, Brentwood.
Again, give us your name and address, please, Christopher.
Christopher Moran, Irma Moran, Fidel Moran. 75 Sperry Court. No, this one's 87.
87.
87.
And we're just here on the accessory structure.
Correct.
No, I read the wrong.
Accessory
I'm sorry.
apartment.
Accessory apartment, thank you. Accessory apartment, okay. And this one, who are the family members in the accessory?
Well,
No,
they
I'm
don't
wrong,
have to
I'm
be
wrong.
family.
I'm wrong.
So I'm just going to explain why it's a bit unusual, but it all makes sense.
Okay.
So in order to satisfy the owner occupancy requirement of the accessory apartment ordinance, a property owner has to have a minimum of 50% ownership in it. So Christopher has 50% of 87 Sperry. Does that say 87? I'm sorry, 87 Sperry. And the other 50% is split by his parents.
Okay.
And across the street at 75 Sperry, Fidel and Irma own that without
Yeah.
Christopher. Yeah. So who lives in the apartment is really not relevant in accessory apartments, but home ownership is more important.
All right. Any questions from the board?
No questions.
Planning, any comments? No comments. Is there anyone else who would like to be heard in this application? Okay, I'll take the motion, please. All in favor?
Aye.
Application's granted for a period of 3 years.
Thank you.
Thank you. This again? Oh, gosh. Application number 618-24, Maria and Charles Wegener. Permission to leave accessory structure, outdoor bar and kitchen, and patio on rear property line not having required setback of 4 feet each. Residence B District, north side of Cleveland Street, 200 feet west of Carlton Avenue, Islip Terrace.
Good evening, Denise Trefaro, DTT Design, 1165 Broadway Avenue in Holbrook, for the Wegmans.
Ms. Living? Okay. Planning, what are your thoughts on this?
Rear yard would be an issue, but they are running a sump.
Sure of that.
Well, not entirely, but that would be reasonably wrong.
Kermit the Frog is living there.
The some people. Wasn't there like a
there is no
TV show, the Swamp People?
It was a movie.
A monster? Swamp
It was
People?
fictional.
It was before my time.
It's fictional. Is there anyone else who would like to be heard in this application? No. All right, any other questions from the board?
No questions.
Take a motion, please. All in favor?
Aye.
Application is granted.
Thank you.
It's a movie, The Creature from the Swamp, right? Yeah. Swamp.
Like Swamp People.
Yeah, that's.
There's a TV show. Swamp.
Heather Locklear was in the one I'm talking.
Application number 619-24, Aiden and Ricardo Sagastumi. Permission to establish accessory apartment pursuant to Islip Town Code, Section 68-602. Is anybody here in that application?
All right, hold that one.
Application number 620-24, Maida Canales. Permission to establish accessory apartment pursuant to Islip Town Code, Section 68-602. Residence A District, east side of Potter Boulevard, 100 feet south of Huron Drive, Bayshore.
Good evening, I'm Mayra Canales, and my address is 1361 Potter Boulevard, Bayshore, New York, 11706.
Okay, any questions from the board on this?
I have no questions.
No planning, any comments? No comments. Is there anyone else that would like to be heard in this application? Good. All right, I'll take a motion, please.
I'll make a motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Application is granted.
Thank you.
Oh, yep.
Don't tell him that.
Farnoza has been adjourned.
It was adjourned.
Let me make sure. Nobody's arrived on the application of Farnoza Corp. 621-24? Good. It's been
Oh.
adjourned.
Somebody's here. What number are you on, sir?
Oh, no.
21 we're talking about.
We're getting to you soon.
Almost.
620. Want me to read slow? What do you say? Very slow. Application number 622-24, Gregors and Magdalena Rogowski. Permission to erect second-story addition, 15 by 20.3, leaving rear yard of 14 feet instead of required 25 feet, and to leave patio having rear yard of 2 feet instead of required 4 feet. Residence A District, northeast corner of Leopold Avenue and Norma Avenue, West Islip.
Good evening, Magdalena Rogowski. Magdalena Rogowski,
Grzegorz Rogowski,
15 Leopold Avenue, West Islip, New York, 11795.
Okay, so you're here on the second-story addition?
Yes.
Patio.
Yes.
Any comments on it?
Yes, the rear yard, they've previously gotten a grant at this exact rear yard, their existing rear yard setback. They have a unusual wide and shallow lot here, so they can't go forward, they can't go backwards, without approaching further. So they're going down south in this case, and that's just maintaining the existing rear yard setback. Currently a one-story there, they're building a second story. And really build out any other way that I can see.
What does that do? Is it facing?
They're going towards Norma?
They're going south.
My only thought is 14 now instead of 5.
Correct.
And that's side yard. is 14 feet, it's already very tight, and now they want a second floor on
To be clear, part of the house is already two-story.
Yeah, we have a second floor already.
So there's one part of the house that maintains the one-story, and they're building on top of that, which is in line with the rest of their two-story.
And the house behind isn't exactly maintaining 25, it looks like.
Well, it wouldn't need to, it's a side yard for them, but.
Okay, that's a side yard, yeah.
For them, it's a side yard.
Okay.
Is there anyone else who would like to be heard in this application? No? Any other questions from the board?
Second.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's when he said, does anybody want to be here? I checked. Application number 623-24, Kyle and Melanie Bien. Permission to erect one-story addition, 14 by 17.2, leaving side yard of 10.6 feet instead of required 14 feet. Residence A District, west side of Tucker Drive, 280 feet north of Stephen Road, Bayport.
My name is Ryan Griffin for Captain Permit, and our address is 245 Route 109, Suite D, and it's in West Babylon, New York.
Planning, you have any comments on this?
Yeah, there are several grants in the area around. In fact, two of them say no less than 10 feet per each, so I suppose this is not really out of character for this area. I think it's a little unusual to show this side, so on the other side.
Got a lot more space on the other side, obviously.
He does, yeah.
The clients thought about that, putting it on the other side?
Yeah, but they reflected a plan that was approved for, I think it was at 3 Tucker Lane, and they liked the design off that side yard, how it looked. It was kind of a similar house, so they said they wanted to kind of match that.
Did we approve that one? 3 Tucker?
Yeah, I think it was approved. We did a foil for it.
Three Tucker.
I think it was on the corner. It's a little bit more, I think, south.
Yes.
And then, is that a similar property, or is it said it's a corner lot?
It is a corner lot, so they were probably trying to avoid front yard setback. The intents of the neighbor who
Is there anyone else who would like to be heard in this application? No? Any other questions from the board?
Nope.
I'll take a motion, please. All in favor?
Aye.
Application is granted.
Thank you very much. Good night.
Application number 624-24, Eastview Apartment Development LLC. Permission to install 2 ground signs having areas of 34 square feet instead of permitted 16 square feet each, where a maximum of 1 ground sign is permitted. Plan Development District, multifamily. East side of Eastview Drive, 845.5 feet north of Spur Drive North, Central Islip.
Evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Paul Anaboli, 715 South Country Road, Bay Shore, New York. On behalf of the applicant, please.
Good evening, Mr. Anaboli.
Good evening.
Any questions from the board on this?
I have none.
Planning, any comments?
Just to mention, they have 2 entrances, why they want to.
Makes sense.
Okay, is there anyone else who would like to be heard in this application? No. I'll take a motion, please.
Second.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Application is granted.
Thank you.
Application number 625-24, Graziella Robertson. Permission to erect 1-story addition, 13.3 by 36.5, leaving second front yard of 12 feet instead of required 15 feet, and to leave above-ground pool having rear yard of 9.5 feet instead of required 10 feet. Residence B District, northeast corner of Beverly Street and Grimsley Road, Islip.
Good evening, everyone. Graziella Robertson, 23 Beverly Street, Islip, New York, 11751.
Yeah, please.
Get in pain.
All right. Planning, you have any comments on this? No. Story of the
You-
night.
Just doesn't
You
know
sound
when.
like a press secretary.
Right, no comment. I was gonna say I can't confirm or deny that.
Any questions from the board on this? Anybody else like to be heard in this application? Okay. Motion, please.
Definitely try to set.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you. I also have with me a letter of approval from my neighbors. Should I give that?
You won.
No, I don't need it. Okay, I know.
You're gonna, right. Snatch defeat from the jaws of victory, right?
Application number 626-24, Robert and Geneva Kayati. Permission to erect one-story and second-story additions, leaving floor area ratio of 32.81% instead of permitted 25%. Residence A District, east side of Davison Lane East, 1,227.41 feet south of Magoon Road, West Islip.
Good evening, everybody from the board. Robert and Geneva Coyote, 39 Davison Lane, East and West Islip. Sorry, yes. So basically, we're looking to, instead of the permitted 25% FAR, we're looking to expand to 32.81% FAR. We did a FOIL on two local properties, 33 Davison Lane East and 42 Davison Lane East. The first one was actually approved for 37.5, and that was in 2015. And the 42 Davison Lane East was approved for 31.8. I think that was, I don't really know where the date is, I can't see. So basically, our current living conditions, I have 4 children, my wife and I. It becomes a little uncomfortable, being that we have a 2-year-old and a 6-year-old, and neither of those 2 children have beds, and we have 2 teenagers as well.
Sir, do you have a copy of those?
Yes. Yes, sir.
What have we been granting, 32? Well, no, that sounds out of bounds, but he's not asking for 30.
Thank you.
Application number, I don't know.
It was amended to 33.3, and it was granted at 33.3. That was
Right, okay. So that one's out. And then, do you have the other one, sir, that?
Second page.
Oh.
31.8. It's the highest one.
But that's not the nature and character. That's a one-off.
Yeah, nature and character is around, that was a recent grant from this
30.
year, 30.7. There was another one from 2 years ago, 30.5.
We're at 31.
Effectively.
31, that's a nice round number.
Can I read something?
Sure. If you'd like, sure. Got time. Just give us your name and address and
Geneva Coyote, 39 Davison Lane East, West Islip. I just wrote something. So we are requesting a variance for our home because the current living situation has become strenuous on us as a family of 6. Living in the home is my husband and I and our 4 kids, Daniel 2, Sam 7, Scarlett 13, and Ben 16. To begin, we have a very small living room. This space is the only area we have for relaxation and recreation. My youngest boys have a lot of energy, as you guys can see, and having small kids in a small space gets very difficult. The living room is their only place to play. So aside from having the television there, it is also where all their toys are. I don't even buy many toys simply because I have nowhere to put them with the limited space. My oldest son, Ben, has nowhere to go with his friends or girlfriend when they come over. Their only choice is to share the living room with us and his little siblings. Many times it becomes a bit chaotic. There is no privacy for any of us. If Ben wants to watch a movie with his friends, they will likely not hear much of it. My 7-year-old Sam, who has never had a bedroom, sleeps on a bed in the hallway outside Ben's room. This creates constant noise in the hall, which makes it hard for Ben to study, and it's an extremely important year, 11th grade for him. This is a year colleges look at, and he is in an IB course taking college-level classes in school, doing his best to do well. He's often frustrated and comes out of his room to complain to me that he can't concentrate because of the noise and disturbances from his little brother. Sam has ADHD and has an IEP in place in school and receives the maximum amount of services he can without having to go to a separate special education school. Living in a cluttered environment, he is unable to escape distractions, and it makes it very hard, you can see distractions, and it makes it very hard for his learning and development. The bathroom is also right by his bed, so when the older kids go in and out, it wakes him up, disrupting his sleep. Also, my daughter, she's the only girl, Scarlett, and she has to share the bathroom with her 3 brothers, and she often feels uncomfortable. It's just a little tough for her as a female. My husband is a medical doctor and a local business owner. I myself, I'm a nurse, and I help with the business. My husband has nowhere to go to review medical notes, take important calls, and concentrate on patient relations. When he is on call, he must sit in his car just to speak with patients, to have quiet and focus. It just hasn't been practical. For special occasions and holidays, we are the only ones in our family who are able to host them, and it gets extremely cramped trying to enjoy these times with everyone over. We have to move furniture outside just to be able to extend our dining room table to fit everyone. The noise level also can be a bit unbearable as the sounds of everyone talking bounces off the walls in the small space. In our bedroom, our 2-year-old is sleeping with us, and it really takes away from our privacy and time together as a couple. Having him in our bedroom, it often feels more like a nursery than a sanctuary for us. Sometimes you need a break from the kids for the sake of being happier, healthier, less stressed, a better parent, and we just don't get much of a break. And lastly, our home has no attic or basement and a very small garage, so we have no space to store old mementos, holiday decor, or seasonal items. The garage is the only place we have to store things, so we rent additional storage space, which costs us $600 a month. This is also in addition to 3 small storage units we have on the side of our home. In our old home, a lot of our items got destroyed in the flood from Hurricane Sandy, as we had 4 feet of water in our home. And since then, we have kept collecting and accumulating things to a minimum, and yet still we need all this extra space just for our things. Also, I forgot to mention, my kids' belongings, finding a spot for my kids' belongings, especially my younger ones. Clothing has been a challenge. A lot of their clothes are stored in bins because they have limited furniture. The amendments we're requesting for our home are only in order to be beneficial to the integrity of our family. So we hope you take our plea into consideration, and thank you for your time.
Ma'am, I don't think we're wrestling with whether to give you a variance. It's just the amount of the variance.
Well, that's why we're asking if you can make an exception this time around for the 32.8.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Anyone else would like to be heard in this application? I'll take a motion, please.
Thank you.
Second. Aye.
Thank you.
You know what, I'm going to go back, just see if the second call has arrived. Is that okay? Yeah. Has anybody arrived on the application of Aiden and Ricardo Sagastumi? case. Application number 551-24 adjourned from September 10, 2024. Chelsea Coyle. Permission to erect one-story and second-story additions, leaving side yard of 8.5 feet instead of required 14 feet. Total side yards of 23.7 feet instead of required 28 feet. To demolish second story of detached garage and construct new roof, leaving side yard of 2.91 feet and rear yard of 2.66 feet instead of required 10 feet each, all having floor area ratio of 37% instead of permitted 25%. Residence B District, north side of Elliott Place, 245.7 feet east of Grant Avenue, Islip.
Good evening. I'm Michael Dunn, the architect for the Coils at 256 Orinoco Drive in Brightwaters, New York, 11718. So this was adjourned from September, and I went back with the homeowner to see how we could bring the FAR number down. There was that existing detached. Well, existing house right now is 38%. It's 38%. But that includes a two-story detached garage in the back. So we're proposing a two-story addition to the house. That's about a 9% add. But if we take off one of the stories of the detached garage, that takes 10% off. So we're actually reducing the square footage or the FAR now from 38 to 37%. But in modifying that existing garage, now we have to ask for the rear and side yard setbacks. So that was added to this call. But it is a big, massive structure that they would be willing to bring down to 14-foot maximum accessory structure height.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
I remember we went over this last time. My question is, you have side yard of 8.5 instead of 14.
Yes.
And you want to do a second floor.
It is a two-story house now. It's two stories there. We're just building behind it. Two-story addition, a den and a master bedroom.
But, oh, I see. My question is though, when you want to go straight back.
Yes.
So when you're at 8.5, and you know what I'm going to say next, and then you want to continue it, how much further back do you want to go at 8.5?
It's a 13-foot addition to the rear. You know, to make a decent-sized den and add a third bedroom, it's only a two-bedroom house. It's a very small house right now.
My query is, again, we have to, if it's 8.5, it's probably about 60% of what it ought to be, and then you want to continue that further back. What does that do to the neighbor? Where I don't know which. Oh, I see. And somebody, Nick, could you point out where they are going to bring back?
Yeah, this would be subject property.
Fortunately, you have a narrow piece of property.
Yes.
And it's so compromised at 8.5, and now you want to continue with another 13 feet. It just seems tight. I get it, they don't have a whole lot of options, but the house has to be in the property.
I know they have the blessing from the neighbors, so that the neighbors are not an issue. And yeah,
I'm sorry about that.
the neighbors are okay with this application.
And we have to worry about precedent, granting 8.5, continuing another 13 feet. That's just.
Let me ask, Nick, is the one next door, is that legal or?
The one next door was granted by the board. That would be the side that's being granted. Basically, both of these are 50.5 lots. They have a 9.4 side yard.
What about 17?
Nothing that was granted. This is very old.
Yeah.
It's, I think, constructed.
So we granted 9 point. What is the one next door? Looks like it's.
It is, yeah.
Maybe there's a
With
carport. Is that what you
8.5.
think it was bigger? Could be skewed.
13 feet, you got a parity with the
Well, what year was the house built? 1920?
20s, 20-something.
So,
We should wait a year, make it 100.
so it's built 100 years ago, long before zoning in the town of Islip. So it is likely that there are houses that have less than a 10-foot setback because of the width of the lots at 50 feet.
Yeah, I don't have records of that, but I've walked through this area quite a lot. Doesn't seem that bad. That's right.
About the rest of the application?
The rest of the application, as Mr. Dudley pointed out, garage setbacks are existing. Keep it nothing to hurry up, and in fact, it's becoming less impactful. On the second story, the reducing conformity. It's planning's opinion that they are transferring their FAR to the house. The house itself is still not going to be the size. And so in this case, the applicant gets what they're looking for, house space. Planning's getting what they're looking for, we don't want it. So, we support the applicant.
Is there anyone else who would like to be heard in this application? Any more questions from the board? Nope.
No question.
No? All right, I'll take a motion, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll make a motion to grant the application.
In favor? Aye. Application's granted.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Have a good night.
Yeah, I know I am.
I guess Mary's a Met fan.
I am. You saw me check? We're up to nothing, yeah.
No, I say the amount of time we're gonna get out of here.
Oh, no, I'm missing the game.
Know that.
Oh, tomorrow night, we'll 627-24, Juan Pablo Baruca. Permission to erect one-story addition, 21 by 27.5, leaving side yard of 5.2 feet instead of required 14 feet, and total side yards of 22.66 feet instead of required 28 feet. And to leave driveway having side yard of 1.5 feet instead of required 4 feet. Residence B District, west side of North Clinton Avenue, 75 feet north of Dowsing Avenue, Bay Shore.
Good evening. My name is Salim Abraham. I reside at 254-10 Francis Lewis Boulevard, Rosedale, New York, 11422. Good evening, Good evening, board member. Asking a request for the addition of 20 feet deep by 27 feet because the house is a one-story house, very small, and they already have three small bedroom. The addition we conclude with an extra bedroom and a master bedroom. As the family is growing, big family now, so they want to have that space available to them. And also we have finished basement on the addition. And we're asking for the variance for that area or side yard setback. It's a very narrow lot, 50 feet wide by 120 deep. Any questions?
Have any precedents for that?
No, President, no, I don't. We're just following the line of the house.
There's not no density. In fact, this property was granted 5.3, which would be the it is granted at 5.3.
No, the existing, not the addition.
Probably, it was quite a while ago now.
88.
I assume it's the exact same. No, to be clear, this is a new proposal. There's an existing side yard.
Right. They're going back.
The hatched area is a proposed new.
Correct.
Okay.
So,
But-
establishing that the house was granted at its current. Now there's a new proposal going 21 feet.
Yeah, but he needs to be clear on that. It wasn't for new construction. The house, it was, just to be
Just to
clear, yeah, it was
legalize it.
permission to leave the dwelling, so probably had no CO, and they needed a CO, so, what year was this house built, do we know? It's probably also the 1920s or 30s. Here's the CO right there. We have the CO, so. Built
Approximately
1920.
5.
That's the garage.
I'm sorry. There you go. 1920, right?
Yeah, the CO reads built approximately 1920, and then references are 1988 approval to let it remain on the property.
So to continue, I guess, side yard is currently compliant. They're asking to do 21 straight back, but further back, at that point, it would be 50 feet. It is all one story. It is a small lot, but and it's up was it's not entirely.
Well, thank you. Yeah.
And also is our fence.
Put it out there, I don't know how we have, basically, it's conforming now, but a non-conforming, and allow that much of continuation. It seems excessive. I don't know if that's the direction that zoning wants to go. We legalized it in 1988, and now they.
That's a plot
it's
plan. Do you not have it?
5.2. It's not like it's 12 instead of 14, 10 instead of
Jordan shared.
5.2.
She's good share.
I share my photograph.
That is, oh,
Yeah, I'm trying to look at where they,
Is slanted at 5.1.
where he's extending, what's around it?
71%.
To the south, but he's extending to the north.
71%
The
relaxation.
affected side yard is.
What is to the north, just the home then?
Yeah, just south, I think, is like the medical office.
Yeah, dental, yeah.
I think 71% is substantial. I just don't think the property supports that addition.
Still don't have an FAR. It is difficult to work with. If they were going straight up instead of straight back. Since we usually want a second story, that's not actually.
I just feel when it's so close to the property line, continue it.
It is difficult. If it is one story. It is a long.
Uh,
They bring it in a little bit. Is there anything else in the neighborhood?
Okay, if you look at the way the house is oriented, I was going more towards the rear yard. We're going away from the property line also, from 5.1 to 5.34, whatever it is.
They bring it in 5 feet to 10 feet?
4 feet.
5 feet or whatever it is, 10 feet, like a 10-foot side yard.
If we can approve, I think we can start working on that. I can talk to the owner and that'd be feasible. If we grant the addition to the house, the 5 feet, so extra 5 feet, basically.
No, I'm asking if we could have the addition at 10 feet, side yard, 10-foot side yard on the addition.
We can make it happen, yes. Yes.
All right, so amend the call.
Anyone else would like to be heard in this application? Yes, sir? Come up.
For-
Name and address, please.
Ahmed Abad at 1353 North Clinton Avenue. I'm AHMED, last name ABBAD. So I'm the neighbor, the next house. From what I understood, he's adding an extension in the back. So it's already, it will be like 4 feet, 5 feet off the property line. Is that permissible, or is that within the zoning, or?
That's why we're asking.
That's why we're here.
Bring it 10 feet off of the property line on the addition.
From my side on the 1353?
You're the property directly.
Yes, in the north. So it will be like 10 feet off the property line. Okay. Okay, sure. Okay, sure.
Anyone else would like to be heard in this application? be okay then if we denied it at 5.2 feet?
Okay, 10 feet? Yes.
I'll make the motion that we deny some of the applications seeking 5.2 feet. However, instead of part of what.
All in favor?
Aye.
And also the driveway, right? There's a driveway also on it? The driveway? Driveway also? Okay, perfect. And before I leave, there's
Yeah, it's about 27, a little over 27.
The total side yard.
Sure.
Leave as
You never really know how zoning's gonna break out, but that's okay. That's fine, leave it. Yep.
The rest, and the driveway is not an issue.
okay. And also the name of the owner is misspelled, so,
Misspelled.
Grant the variance.
We're gonna.
okay, okay,
What's
okay.
the reason?
Thank you.
It's for the property, not the owner.
Okay. Thank you, that's everything, thank you.
Runs with the land.
All right, look at that. We did good. I was prepared to read this in if I needed to. I should have done that at 6:27. I should have grabbed this. And
Is
read it.
anyone here on Sagres through me?
No, we're good now, we're good.
I know we are. I'm just trying to
And the Mets
kill
had the
time.
bases loaded a second ago. It's just Nick. Nick, we're gonna check the Mets score. You can't believe it? My mother was the hugest fan.
And then we have the last one.
Anybody know? They were, what the heck?
Rangers open up.
Nothing. They just had the bases
Rangers,
loaded.
not a Ranger fan, are you? You're not a Ranger fan?
I am a Ranger fan. Okay. Application number 628-24, Emil and Gina Sadowski, permission to erect two-story addition, 39.4 by 61.7 irregular, leaving front yard of 28.5 feet instead of required 40 feet, side yards of 11.1 feet and 11.4 feet instead of required 14 feet each, total side yards of 18.3 feet instead of required 28 feet, and floor area ratio of 31.58% instead of permitted 25%. Residence A District, west side of Sequoms Lane West, 160 feet south of Sequoms Lane West, West Islip.
Good evening. My name is Nicholas Pfluger, it's Pfluger of Bolo Pfluger Architects at 85 East Main Street, Bay Shore, New York, 11706. Here on behalf of Mr. and Mrs. Sadowski. We are proposing a new second-story addition over the existing home, as well as a two-story addition to the rear of the house. We're here for the following variances: a front yard of 28.5 feet. Just to be clear, that 28.5 feet is to the front covered porch, and then the house is at 29.9 feet, which is the existing front yard setback that will remain. The new second floor will align with the first floor. The side yards of 11.1 and 11.4. The 11.4 side yard is an existing setback as well, and we are, again, aligning the new second floor with the first floor. And then the 11.1 foot side yard setback on the north side, we actually pushed the second story addition back from aligning with the existing first floor, as the existing first floor had a 6.9 foot setback. So again, we pushed that back to 11.1. Our FAR is at 31.58%, and we have precedents for both the front yard and the FAR. I have 5 properties on the block that have a 31.6% FAR. And let's see, 1, 2, 3 properties that have, 2 that have a 25-foot front yard, and 1 that has a 21.3-foot front yard to an entrance platform. And I have the case numbers if you want them. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, just in case.
Wexler rule.
Planning, you have any comments on this application?
Yeah, just to really say that I agree with them.
I know, it's getting, that's why the hearing went too fast.
But, I don't know. We try to do it on every project that we know that's got a variance, so yeah.
Any other questions from the board? Is there anyone else who would like to be heard in this application? Anyone else? All right, I'll take a motion.
I'll make a motion.
All in favor?
Aye. What the market will bear, you sound like a capitalist almost there, you know? A capitalist.
Application number 629-24, the Sweeney Building Bay Shore LLC. Permission to leave one-story and second-story additions resulting in floor area ratio of 88.74% instead of permitted 60%. Business District, southwest corner of Main Street and Ocean Avenue, Bay Shore.
Again, Nicholas Fluger from Bolo Fluger Architects, 85 East Main Street, Bay Shore, New York, 11706. So on this project, the building currently has an open permit for a facade renovation that was done by another architect, so we did not submit that application. What we're doing is we submitted a building application for a tenant fit-out plan for a new restaurant space where the old bagel shop used to be. The name of the new restaurant is going to be Bella Mia Cafe. In that process, it was brought to our attention by zoning that there were additions done to the building that were not CO'd. These additions put us over the allowable FAR, and that's why we are here tonight, requesting 88.74% FAR. One of the additions houses the main sprinkler valve, just as information, and another addition covers existing basement entries. Then there was a small 1 foot by 4 foot addition on the second floor that I suppose someone filled something in at some point. Looking at Suffolk County aerials, it seems that these additions have been there at least since 2004. Any other aerials before that were a little hard to read, so they may have been there for longer. With that, I'll take any questions.
Planning, do you have any questions?
It's downtown.
Any other questions from the board? Is there anyone else who would like to be heard in this application? All right, I'll take a motion, please. I'll make a motion. Second, please. All in favor?
Aye.
Application's granted.
All right, thank you. Have a good night.
I went Saturday to Philly. We wore our colors. You want to talk about wild?
Oh, yeah. That was great.
Animals.
Yeah.
All going out of there?
I watched with my college roommate and a Philly fan.
I was with my son. Oh, much worse.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they were like, fuck us. I like, some